What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Bleacher Report. I am Josh Taylor at Josh Taylor FB on social media if you don't follow me already. And I was kind of thinking about what I should talk about for this little midweek topic stream here. And the biggest question I get recently is, Josh, what are we watching for in Week 18 as a Washington Commanders fan? Like, give me something to care about. Give me a reason to watch these games this weekend. And honestly, the games this weekend in a couple different scenarios could alter the future of this franchise, which is crazy to say. But it really influences a lot of big time things. And a couple of games have a lot of weight to what Washington could do in this offseason. So I'm going to pull up Tankathon and really talk about this. And then I'm also going to pull up a mock draft simulator, just show you what exactly I'm talking about, just kind of walk y'all through that. So first thing, like I said, I'm going to pull up Tankathon because obviously Washington plays the Cowboys this weekend, last game of the season. Let me change this up a little bit. So if you're one of those fans that want to win, you're like, Josh, we're not losing to the Cowboys. I refuse. I hate the Cowboys. I can't pull for a loss. Then you probably don't want to watch this stream because that's what I'm talking about. If you are a Washington fan and you care about the draft picks and the draft capital and stuff like that, you are absolutely hoping that Washington loses this game to the Cowboys, which I hate to say because they are rivals. Like at what point did we get to this? Like we're down so bad that we were actually hoping that the Cowboys beat us. I remember a time in high school when all the kids on my bus either liked Washington or they liked Dallas. And of course, after the games, the people were talking smack like it was an actual rivalry. We didn't care about this business side of the stuff, but here we are. I hate to say it, but this is exactly where we're at. And I'm not really worried about their seeding and things like that. And they are playing for something this weekend. The NFC obviously locked up that one seed for the 49ers, but you want to talk about position and stuff like that. Things are really close with the Lions, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. I'm not 100% sure on the whole playoff situation just because we're so out of it. I could care less about the playoff situation. So I don't really care what a win or a loss does for the Cowboys situation in the playoffs. I'm worried about us. I'm worried about building up this team for the future. And as you see right now, if the season ended today, we would thankfully have the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. Chicago's already locked up that number 1 overall from the Carolina Panthers. That's locked in. That's not changing. There's only one game left. The Panthers are 2-14. They're not going to magically jump to 2, 3, anything like that. They're at 1. That's done. Now the battle is for 2, 3, and 4. More importantly, number 2, if you're a Washington fan, and it's really close. And if you look on the right side there, you see the SOS, strength of schedule, which is the number 1, determining factor on who gets these draft picks. And right now, as you can tell, it's really close. It was even closer before a couple other games happened last week. But Washington has 0.515 and New England's at 0.518. And I know there's the head-to-head and stuff like that. Honestly, that doesn't really matter in all this. What we're focused on is that strength of schedule because Washington could lose and the Patriots could lose, but the Patriots could still get that number 2 pick depending on a couple things that actually happen. So obviously, first off, like I said, we play the Cowboys, which we need to lose that one. And then the Patriots play the Jets. I want to see what time it is, 1:00 Eastern time. So it's before us. So we got moved to, I don't know if we got moved or if they just announced it, but I swear we have the 4:25 game on Fox. So the Patriots and Jets play first. So that's good. At least we'll know when we're playing really what that looks like. Hopefully the Patriots beat the Jets. If that happens and we lose, then we are locked in for that number 2 spot. That is the most important thing that could happen. But crazy things happen. The Jets do have a really good defense, and they show up, for absolutely no reason. And it's a good rivalry that Patriots and Jets, especially when both teams are bad. It's not like Tom Brady stuff back there. Both teams are bad. And I think both teams are absolutely fighting to win. Bill Belichick, we don't know what his future looks like. He's still fighting for his coaching career, which is crazy to say. If you'd have told me that 3-4 years ago, I'd have called you nuts. So we absolutely need the Patriots to win. It would be really nice if Arizona won as well. But I think there's enough gap there. It doesn't really matter unless Washington does win. If Washington wins, and that throws a big wrench into everything, we pretty much fall to like 4 or 5, depending on how the Patriots and Cardinals game ends. And the Cardinals play at home to the Seahawks. So who knows with that one? The Cardinals did just beat the Eagles, so I'm not ruling anything out, but the Eagles have been down bad, pretty bad recently. So if Washington loses, best case scenario, we need the Patriots to win. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion, if the Cardinals lose and we lose. I think there's enough gap there to where the strength of schedule keeps us at number 2. I don't think enough can happen to where the Cardinals, and that win for the Cardinals was absolutely huge for us too. Getting to that number 2 spot, absolutely massive. Appreciate Kyler Murray and that squad, not only just beating the Eagles, which is always good to see, but helping us get that number 2 spot. So the one thing I like about Tankathon here is that you can actually go into here. It's a new tool that not a lot of people know about, but I've showed you all a couple times now. If you go over to more, go to SOS Tiebreaker Rooting Help. Really says, guys, what do I need to happen this weekend for my team? Because we're trying to get the number 2 overall pick to get that quarterback. And like I said, I'm not really worried about Arizona. The biggest thing is New England, what to look for. And there's one game that's more important than the others. So if you're watching these games this weekend, this is what you need to keep a close eye out for. Let me try to zoom in here a little bit more so you can get a good look. So you see at the top there, we're Washington. Draft rival is the New England Patriots. And there is 5 games on the slate that hold weight to what could happen to our pick. And this is, like I said, this is crazy to say. Our franchise of the future, because this is huge. We've talked about the GM hires. I've talked about head coaching hires, how those are the GM hire alone is the most important hire in my lifetime. I'm 30 years old. I've been a fan my whole life. That hire that's going to happen in the next few 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is the most important hire of my lifetime for this fan base. The GM hire has to be spot on. And head coach is right under there. And you can talk about, president of operations and stuff like that. They're going to do some more hires. There's already a couple of rumors and stuff out there. But getting that hire is absolutely crucial. And getting that pick. The difference between pick 2 and pick 3 could be huge. You talk about you want a quarterback, and I'm going to talk about the Bears, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever it is, getting to that 3 spot can really hurt Washington in a lot of ways. It can really take them out of consideration for one of those top 2 quarterbacks. And I'm not going to talk about the difference of the quarterbacks. Everyone has their own opinions. I'll do a deep dive into the quarterback later on, give my opinion on it. Obviously, once that final pick is, good to go, it's rooted, it's finalized, that's what I'm really going to do, a deep dive into all these quarterbacks. And I already have started watching film and stuff like that. But going from 2 to 3, massive, absolutely massive this year. And the first game is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the thing with this game is the Ravens have that 1 seed locked up. The Ravens should rest their starters. They play Saturday at 3:30. So that's their own separate games. Probably going to be Huntley versus Mason Rudolph. The Steelers are still fighting for a playoff spot, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But still, nonetheless, they're playing to beat the Ravens. They're not resting people like the Ravens should. They haven't come out and said anything yet, but they absolutely should rest everybody. You don't want to get hurt, especially with the last game of the season. Like I said, they got that 1 seed locked in. They're good. So the Steelers have a really good chance of winning this one, actually, which is great for us. Next up is the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. And honestly, I don't feel too good about this one, but you just never know with those 2 teams. Anything in the AFC South is always up in the air. Obviously, the Texans, CJ Stroud came back, looked good again. Colts are kind of hit or miss, but their defense is really solid, not really putting too much on Gardner Minshew and what they can do. Playoff implication, I think both teams need to win that one too. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't think the Colts are out of it yet. I think they're both 9-7, so they both have to be in the race still. Don't quote me on that. But this next one is the most important one. The Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. And you see that 2 green stars on the right there, and you see at the top of the screen, stars indicate the weight of the game. That game is massive. If the Patriots lose and we lose, if the Falcons win, there is a very, very, very high chance that the Patriots jump Washington to that 2 spot. We know the Patriots need a quarterback. So do we. And like I said, we don't know what the Bears are going to do. Maybe they trade back. Maybe they keep Caleb. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But if we get jumped for that 2 spot, that's big. Like that's really that takes a big weight out of the quarterback spot for us. And like I said, there's Jaden Daniels, there's Michael Penix, there's Bo Nix, whoever you like. There's some options later on, but I have a feeling there's a lot of teams. There's the Steelers, the Broncos, the Raiders, a lot of teams in that middle spot there that need a quarterback. I don't see them just saying, all right, let's pass on Jaden, let's pass on Bo Nix, let's pass on Michael Penix in that spot. They need to get their quarterback too. They can't afford to just wait till the second, third, or whatever round and just hope one of the quarterbacks pan out. They are not in a position to do so. Like I said, Broncos, Steelers, it sounds like Kenny Pickett's done, by the way. There's a lot going on there. Steelers, Broncos, Raiders, Falcons. There's a lot of teams in that middle pack. There's just no way I see any, like the 3 to 5 quarterbacks going to the second round. I don't see it unless Michael Penix Jr.'s like injury, medical checkout just looks horrible, which I don't see because he has been healthy the last 2 seasons. But just don't know what the health of that injury that he tore twice or both of his shoulders look like. So there's a couple of different scenarios. But if you're a Washington fan, you are praying that the Saints win that game. And they play on Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's in New Orleans, so that's good. At least they have home field. We need that. Heineke's hurt, so it sounds like he's probably not even going to play, so Ritter might be back. Ritter has 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions this year. It's been bad. They don't really do anything with Bijan Robinson and any other playmakers for whatever reason. So big head scratcher. And the Saints actually looked pretty darn good last week, beating the Bucs 23-13, which I didn't see. And when you go back to the first meeting of the season, the Falcons beat the Saints 24-15. So I have no idea what to expect. The NFC South is just as unpredictable as the NFC South. The NFC South is ugly. You never know what's going on. You have no idea what any of these teams are doing. But we need that Saints defense to get going. We need Derek Carr to just pull one out of nowhere. The Falcons are 7-9. The Saints are 8-8. I think they still have a slight chance. The Buccaneers are 8-8. So maybe the Saints still have a chance to win the division. I think so. We need them to win. They need to win. They need themselves to win. So let's pray for the Saints. That is the most important game to watch this weekend. Like I said, that early slate with the Jets and Patriots and the Falcons and Saints. Let's hope that the Patriots can beat the Jets, but if not, we need the Saints to win. That is the 2 games you have to watch. And then some other games that also influence the strength of schedule is the Packers over the Bears, and the Packers look really good recently. The Bears have looked good recently, and more importantly, Justin Fields. Like I said, I'm going to talk about him in a second. But then also the Raiders over Denver. Absolutely see that happening, especially after the whole Russ thing. He's got benched. The Raiders are on fire right now. Love AP. I think he should be the head coach next season. He's killing it. But it's just I don't see a way that Denver wins that one. Like they're done. Like they're out. And I mean, obviously the Raiders are out too, but still, they actually have some pride that they're playing for, and they're playing on fire. So that's the 5 games. But like I said, more importantly, we need the Patriots to beat the Jets. We need Bill Belichick to just pull a master class on the way out and say, look, guys, they're playing in New England. So that kind of helps them out. And get that dub. I don't think he's there next year, so I don't think it really matters. But still, Bill Belichick, he wants to win. He hates losing. And then we need the Saints to win. So please, one of those happen. Now, you're probably saying, okay, so how does this really change things? But like I said, even more importantly with that, so Washington being at 2 is huge for a lot of reasons. I'm going to kind of walk you through why and what the difference of 2 to 3 really looks like. But let's just start with, say the Patriots win, or say they lose and the Saints win, and we still get that number 2 spot. We're not going anywhere. We lose to the Cowboys. I don't really see resting starters, anything like that. Like I said, I think they're playing for seeding in the NFC still. But what does that look like? And I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to pull up PFF here. I'm going to show you all the mock draft. And obviously the Panthers one here is the Bears. So let me just do this. Let me just pick Washington, enter the draft. and focus on this over here. So say Washington is at 2. We don't know what Chicago's going to do. We have no idea what Chicago's doing. Let me zoom in a little bit more on that one. We have no idea what they're doing. We need Justin Fields to look good. You know, there's a couple articles that have come out. Albert Breer and a couple other guys around the NFL said that, you know, there is a chance that the Bears could keep Justin Fields. And you have guys on the team saying, we want Fields to be the quarterback next year. You have your best player on your whole team probably. I mean, probably not probably. I think he is the best player of the team. DJ Moore came out and said, that's my quarterback. I want him to be my quarterback next year, but it is up to the guys in the front office. It is up to those guys up there to do the right thing. I don't know how Poles and that coaching staff, I mean, I think they're keeping Eberflus like next year. I don't know how they sit here and say, you know, we heard y'all, but we want to go in a different direction, and we want to go ahead and take Caleb Williams and go against what y'all want. I don't see a way they do that, especially because another thing that came out saying that if the Bears were to trade out of that one spot with anyone, whether it's us, the Patriots, I mean, if the Giants get a quarterback, who knows? Like I said, there's a lot of teams back there too. Probably more than likely the Patriots would trade up. But the Bears could get even more than what that trade looked like last year, where they got DJ Moore, 2 firsts and 2 seconds to trade up. That's crazy. That package is really hard to say no to. So honestly, best case scenario is that, like I said, the Bears play the Packers this weekend. Packers defense has been hit or miss. It was pretty good last week. But before that, Joe Barry's been getting a lot of heat. It's been rough. But the Packers defense has been pretty bad this season. They're playing pretty good right now. Like I said, they're playing for a playoff spot. I'm pretty sure they're still in it. But if Justin Fields can just ball out in the season with a win over the Packers, which doesn't happen often for the Bears, especially back in the Aaron Rodgers days. If he can end the season and just look really good, get that big dub, I find it really hard that the Bears can say, guys, we're going to go against what y'all want. We're going to take a quarterback, even knowing what they could get for that number 1 pick. And here's my argument too. So say they keep Fields, they trade back. What are you willing to give up to trade back? If you trade back with Washington, you're at 2. That's fine. You can still get Marvin Harrison Jr., which would be their pick by 1,000,000%. He's really good friends with Justin Fields. Obviously, Ohio State connection. He's really good friends with DJ Moore. They comment on each other's stuff all the time. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. wants to be in Chicago. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And he should want to be. I mean, DJ Moore, and like I said, Justin Fields has looked great too. You add him, and they still have another top 10 pick. The Bears do. They have another top 10 pick. I don't know how much it changes if they win and stuff like that, but right now they're at number 10. So just keep that in mind. If they trade back, so say they trade back to 3, though, with the Patriots, that's fine. I don't see Washington taking Marvin Harrison Jr. We're still at 2. We can still get our quarterback, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May. I think those are the clear-cut top 2 quarterbacks. So say the Bears trade back to 3, get a big haul. Like I said, and Albert Breer even said it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2 spots. The package for that number 1 overall pick is going to be massive. If I had to guess, if we were to trade from 2 to 1, it would probably sound like this. John Allen, 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds, maybe a third. That's a lot. I'm not willing to do that. If you're Washington and you finish at 2, if you finish at 3, we can talk. That's when you need to be aggressive and get up to 1 and 2, depending on who's picking. But if you want Caleb or if you want Drake May, you got to get to 2. So if you're at 3, you probably have to do that trade. That's how important these games are this weekend. If you were at 3, you're probably losing John Allen, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and maybe a third to trade up into that 1 or 2 spot because of the Saints losing or the Patriots losing, or Washington wins, or one of these scenarios plays out like I told you, that is a giant difference between just staying put at 2 and saying, look, we're going to take Caleb or Drake May, whoever falls here. We're cool with both of those. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the quarterbacks too much, but I don't think there's a giant difference from Caleb and Drake May. I think they're both great in their own ways. And I think they're the top 2 picks respectively. Now, say the Patriots win and they jump the Cardinals. They go to like 4 or 5, whatever it is. Now this is where things get interesting. Now Washington has it to their advantage, because if you're the Bears, you're not trading back to 4 or 5 where the Patriots are and losing Marvin Harrison Jr. Because like I said, if the Cardinals are 3, so let's just say it'd be Patriots 1, Washington 2, Cardinals 3, Bears 4. The Cardinals are taking Marvin Harrison Jr. The Bears would miss out on that pick. Like, yes, they would still get this haul of players, whatever it is, or picks, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, whatever. Cool. This is a really good wide receiver draft class. But I don't think the Bears want to miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Rome Odunze is great. I think Malik Neighbors is great. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is just that good. And like I said, he wants to be there. The players want Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, in a perfect world for them, for Chicago players, Justin Fields is the quarterback next year, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is opposite of DJ Moore next year, which would be huge. So that's where Washington really has it to their advantage, though. If the Cardinals are at 3, they are a threat to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Unless the Bears are okay just missing out on that, and they do go back to 4 or 5, whatever, and take Malik Neighbors and, that haul of picks, okay. I honestly wouldn't blame them. That's not a bad haul. I think, and this is honestly weird, but I think Malik Neighbors is a player comp for him would be a DJ Moore. I see a lot of similarities. So they pretty much have like 2 of the same, top tier wide receiver on the team, with DJ Moore and Malik Neighbors play really similar with each other. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. gives him a little bit of a different juice, and a little bit, a little different style of play at wide receiver. But if you're the Bears and you're that front office, you had that trade last year to get that first pick and to get that haul of players and stuff that you've drafted with those picks. You could probably do it again. The Panthers have projected the Bears years ahead when it comes to rebuilding that team. So it's a tough decision to make. But for Washington, being at that number 2 spot, not having to worry about a team jumping up. But say the Bears, and this is another thing too. People are saying like, oh, well, if you want your quarterback, go get him. The Bears are going to show their hand regardless because they have the number 1 pick. It's not like they're at 2 and we're at 3. The Bears are going to show their hand. If they want Caleb Williams, they're going to take him. If they want Caleb Williams, they're not going to trade back with us or the Patriots because they know there's a very high chance we're getting Caleb Williams. So just keep that in mind. The Bears are going to show their hand. They are not trading back if they want Caleb Williams. So that's the other side to this, the anti-Justin Fields side to this. The Bears will show their hand. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to call their bluff. We don't have to say, oh, guys, just in case, let's trade up to 1. For what? The only thing we have to trade up to worry about is the Patriots. But we don't have to worry about, like the Bears, what if they want Caleb? If they do, they're going to take them. If they don't, then they'll trade back. And like I said, if they do, that's fine. Is Caleb Williams worth trading? A John Allen, a 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 3rd. And I'm not saying it's the exact package, but it's going to be pretty dang close to that. It's going to be a lot. We're trading that second that we got for Montez Sweat back to the Bears and another one next year and the first next year. I have a really hard time doing that. So being at the 2nd spot, best case scenario. Also, best case scenario, the Patriots winning, the Cardinals get that 3rd pick. We don't have to worry about the Bears, trading back to 4 or whatever, unless they're just fine missing out on Marvin Harrison Jr. If that's the case, the Cardinals are going to snatch him up quick at 3. The Bears are going to be at 4 or 5, whatever it's going to be. They'll probably take Malik Neighbors, and they'll have all their picks, and they're going to get some other players and stuff like that and build around. And that's not bad for them. Like, shout out to the Bears. They're in a really good position right now, whether it is with Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. But Washington being at that 2 spot is so big. So if we fall to 3 and say it's Bears, Patriots, Washington, that is when Washington is in a position where we have to trade up, guys. Unless, once again, unless the Bears don't want Caleb Williams and say they just take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1 overall. That's not far-fetched either. Could they trade back? But once again, the Cardinals are right there. If they were to trade back with anybody, it'd be us at 3 if we're at 3. And then they would get the haul of stuff, and then they would still get Marvin Harrison Jr. Which I just, once again, I don't. If the Bears are going to take a quarterback, they're going to take a quarterback. If they're not, then they're not. They're either going to trade back or they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. That's the only 2 scenarios. They're not taking a tackle at 1. They're not trading back at 3 or 4 and taking a tackle. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to take a quarterback or a wide receiver. Absolutely. And I don't blame them. But like I said, that difference of being at that 3 spot and trading away that haul of picks, because guys, we have to be in the top 2 to get one of these quarterbacks. Have to be at 1 or 2 to get Caleb Williams and Drake May. If you miss out on those 2, then you might be reaching on a Daniels or a Penix or a Bo Nix. Like if that's the case, then you might as well take Olu Fashanu at 3 or 4 or whatever it is and trade back up into the first. If you're going to do that instead of trading that haul, if you miss out on those 2 guys and you're going to trade up to the first and second, but they're both like, nah, we're staying put. We want Caleb and Drake May. Say the Bears go Caleb, Patriots go Drake May. You're going to trade up a haul to get to that first 2 anyways. You need to trade back up and get your quarterback. You need to trade back up into like the top 10. You need to do like what the Texans did last year when they traded back up. Maybe not the 3 like they did to get Will Anderson, but you need to trade back up into the top 10 to get a quarterback. And you need to surprise some teams. Because if you look down here a little bit more, there's some quarterback needy teams down here. Like I said, you've got the Falcons at 9. You've got the Raiders, maybe the Vikings. That's another team I didn't mention. I mean, you want to talk about quarterback needy teams. Raiders, Vikings, Saints, Broncos, and the Steelers. There's a lot going on down there. So if you're going to do that, you need to trade back up to like 7, 8. I don't see these guys leaving their spot because these have, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze written all over it. 6, 7, 8 right here. Maybe 4, depending, like I said, if the Bears take Marvin Harrison Jr., there's just a lot of cluster going on here. I don't think these teams are going to want to trade back because of the talents on the board. So how far are you willing to trade back? Who are you willing to give up? But more importantly, for Washington, we need to have that 2 spot. That is an absolute must because then you're probably trading away a player, whether it's Terry, John Allen, it's a big name player. Someone that you would like to build around. And I know a lot of fans kind of disrespect John Allen, saying like, oh, he's not there. John Allen is still good. The league respects John Allen more than this fan base does. And that's sad. He's still good. No doubt about it. And I think you could get a second for John Allen. There's some mock drafts I put out on X at Josh Taylor FB. Like I said, follow me if you don't already. To where I have, John Allen being traded because Matt Miller, mentioned that's probably a likely thing that could happen in his mock draft. So I'm rolling with it. Whatever. If we don't, cool. But if you're at 3, you've got to trade him and plus 2 firsts, plus 2 seconds to get back up there, which really hurts building around Caleb or Drake May. And we're still going to go offensive lineman, probably get like a Troy Fatanu early in the second of that first pick. Jordan Morgan, Patrick Paul, one of those left tackles. Maybe someone slips, maybe trade up a few spots like we tried to do for Steve Avila last year. We're going to build that offensive line, guys. Don't worry. Like, we're going to take care of it. We're going to have a real adult in the building a roster as our GM and our head coach next season. So don't worry about that. Free agency and in the draft, we're going to build that line. So that's what you're looking for this weekend, guys, is 1, Washington needs to lose. Once again, I hate to say it because we're playing the Cowboys, but Washington needs to lose. And Washington really needs the Patriots to beat the Jets. That's probably the most important thing that needs to happen this weekend. The Patriots need to beat the Jets. And if not, we need the Saints to win. So keep an eye on that, guys. We got a lot of good things coming up for the streams. And see y'all next time here on Bleacher Report. Hopefully we have that number 2 pick next time you see me. and it's going to be Black Monday after the game. A lot of big changes coming, guys. Appreciate y'all stopping by. I'll see y'all next time. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to participate in all of your fantasy contests, whether it's the NFL, MLB, PGA Golf, NBA, even college football. This user-friendly app, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. And my favorite part is that when you sign up in your first deposit and you use my promo code JTFB, they will double your first deposit up to $100. Now, how does it work? You pick lower or higher on stat projections that Underdog Fantasy gives you, whether it's passing yards, rebounds, points, you name it. And for each selection, say you want to select 3 people or 4 people, your odds go up based off of how many you select. My favorite feature, however, is sometimes I want to make 4 selections and I'm not feeling too confident in all of them. I love taking advantage of the Pick'em insurance to where if I miss one pick in my contest, I still get paid out on lower odds. So sign up today, download the app, and use my promo code JTFB to get up to $100 in your first deposit.